Hey everybody, Tom Barnes here. Stories from the 78. Are you enjoying October yet? Come on, man. It's been the best weather. If you still wanted to hang on to summer, you had a little bit of that. Now we're finally starting to feel the true October vibes. And what better spot to do that here in the Midwest, in the Windy City? Specifically along the Southport corridor, there is a movie theater that is a palace. Been on the scene since 1929 called the Music Box Theater. They have an event the entire month of October where they're showing the best of the best of horror movies, B-rated horror movies, everything in between horror movies, called the Music Box of Horrors. Dead and loving it. Between now and Halloween, my friends, they're welcoming directors in for a little Q&A, showing movies that are typically really hard to see in the theaters or never been seen at all or what have you. And I have my friend Ryan to tell me all about it. Ryan, man, how are you?
Oh, hey, Tom. I'm good. It's great. It's great to see you. Thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely. So Ryan, you do a lot of things over at the Music Box. I think folks don't realize what goes into making that place work the way it does with all the programming and everything else. Why don't you just give folks a little bit of what you do at the Music Box and how it pertains to the Music Box of Horrors, the event that you have going on here for October?
So I have a really fun job and a really boring job where I am the general manager. So basically, I have to oversee everything that could possibly happen with the business. So
Oh,
here's
no
the fun
pressure.
part. Let's pick a movie. Oh, what movies do I like? And let's have really interesting conversations. Or here's another fun thing. Let's go up on stage and introduce a movie or have an incredible Q&A. That's the fun stuff. But then the toilet could break, or you have to order popcorn seed, or you have to get your brick facade tuck pointed. Um, so there's all of this that incorporates a general manager's job. However, I'm also super lucky and have an incredible staff who I've been able to work with and who manage a lot of the day-to-day stuff for me. So I have to think about the really big stuff, the things that that you have to work on and do, the fun stuff and the behind the scenes stuff, and then also help support a staff of people who help the day-to-day operations happen. They're there to open the doors for you or sell you the popcorn or a ticket or make you a delicious cocktail. So I get to oversee these incredible humans that work for the Music Box and then kind of keep the eye on the big stuff. So some of the big stuff, I'm very, very very involved in, Music Box of Horrors. I am one of two of the programmers of the marathon and one of three of the year-round program, which includes the 31 nights. But then, we have other programmers on team, where I'm just like, hey, what event do you have? Okay, what do I need to do to help you with that? And then they go and they do the thing. So Box of Horrors is one of the really special ones because I literally think about every minutia of that one.
Uh-huh.
Both from a general manager's perspective and a programmer's perspective. So it's probably one of the most fun things I get to do all year.
That is fun, and I imagine you get to come up with these concepts with your staff and these amazing events you have, and you get the complaints all at the same time because hey, we're out of popcorn, the toilet's not working. P.S. This big giant extravaganza we have for the month of October is happening today. So what are you going to do now? It's
Yeah.
among other things. I've been to the Music Box, I don't know, countless times over the years, as many Chicagoans have. For I seen a horror movie during this stretch you have here that we're going to talk about in a second. But my family's tradition is going to the Music Box for the double feature Christmas, where they have the It's a Wonderful Life and White Christmas, and they have the carolers and Santa and the organ player. That is by far the most popular thing in my family's traditions throughout the year. I get my dad from the south side of Chicago to come up to the north side and park, which is a thing because Southsiders don't do that ever. But he will drive from the south side and park and walk to the Music Box and he won't even do that for a Cubs game, and he's a lifelong Cubs fan. So it is a big deal in our house.
Well, so my very first year, I worked all 30 Christmas shows, and I bought a Christmas suit. So if you ever came to one and you're like, who's the guy in the Christmas suit? That was me.
Fantastic.
But I love that event. I didn't create it, and we have an incredible Santa who's been doing it for 20 years, and an incredible organist who's been doing it for 25 years, and then these carolers. So I like just come in. I'm like, all right, you do your thing. I'm gonna check tickets. I'm gonna like go and restock and like welcome people in and like make sure we have the mulled wine and the hot chocolate. But I'm glad that that's your entry into the music box, because it, considering it's now its 43rd year or 42nd year, like the number of people that you could talk to about that single event it's incredible. Like, and in all ages too.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. All ages. You go I mean, my kids are now 16 and 13, and we've been taking them since they were little. And honestly, my son, who's 13 now, it's one of his favorite things, and he's like, I don't know if I need to see It's a Wonderful Life, but I want to see the Christmas show. And I asked him one time, I'm like, what about the Christmas? It's a White Christmas you like so much? He's like, the dancing ladies, Dad. I was like, oh, okay. It's just so, sometimes you just lose sight of it. But these beautiful women up on screen that just look, because it's just a different texture on screen from movies of that era, so they don't look like movies of today. So he's never seen movies like that on the big screen unless it's at the music box, which is the whole point, I guess. But so it works, is what I'm saying, I guess, in the long run. But yeah, our whole family loves it, and I'm sure lots of other people love it for lots of other reasons, but that is a fun one. But we're here in the middle of October, well, beginning of October, and you have a laundry list of things going on for the music box of horrors. I wanted to make sure I get that right. Dead and Loving It. What do we got going on for the rest of the month?
Well, so the idea of 31 nights is kind of overwhelming. So the thinking there is we're going to program something for every type of horror lover, even for the ones who are like, don't scare me, but I like horror, which I know that seems like counterintuitive, but they exist. They might want more of like the psychological stuff, the ones who are just like, you're maybe a little depressed by the end of it, like that really hurt me inside. But not like jump scares or like, gore fests where you're just like, you're going like this between your eyes and you're like, I can't watch any of this. So that's the intention. I work with two amazing programmers, Will Morris and Katie Reif. They've been with the 31 days for since it became 31 days, because it only used to be a 24-hour horror movie marathon.
Yeah, that's when I've been there for the 24-hour one. I'm like,
yeah, but during the pandemic, we couldn't come inside together. And the idea of 700 people coming inside during the pandemic was like, that's not going to happen.
Right.
So we went down to the south side. We went to Pilsen and we did this drive-in where we did 31 nights. And that was like our marathon. It was like a marathon of the month.
Was that at that soccer place? With I forget. It used to be called the Chicago Drive-In or something like that.
Yeah, and then you could order on your phone and tell them what spot you're in, and they brought out tacos and cervezas.
That was amazing.
It was awesome. It kept a lot of people sane, and I was working it. I worked all 31 nights, which was kind of dumb and burned out a little bit. But anywho, so that's how that marathon turned into a month long. And so now it's in its 5th year, or is it the 6th year? God, I can't remember. And so we try to do all these different types of programs. So like, think like you've got like kind of films that you would probably heard of, like that are classics, like Bride of Frankenstein, or like Island of Lost Souls, or something like, sorry, I'm just consulting my list because there's too many to remember. Hour of the Wolf, right?
Oh,
and so you've got sort of like kind of classics, which might not be scary, but they're a part of the horror canon, or should be part of the horror canon. But then you also mix that in with like, like some really good, like kind of low key ones, like a 90s John Carpenter that doesn't get played a ton, In the Mouth of Madness.
Oh, I love that
which
movie.
is just a great one.
Scott Bakula in that movie?
In the Mouth of Madness is no. I think you're thinking of
Lord of Illusions.
Clive Barker one. Lord of Illusions.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry. I got my confused.
Yeah.
I've seen both.
No, you're good.
In the theater back in the day.
Mouth of Madness is Sam Neill.
That's right. Yeah, Jurassic Park guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So, or like Demon Knight, Tales from the Crypt, right?
Yeah.
2 like undersung 90s movies that totally have like a cult following. But then we mixed in like newer ones, like Let the Right One In, the Swedish version, Or like we do something like kind of off kilter, like we're showing the 1970s monster flick Frogs, but we're actually going to have like a real reptile show. So, you could be
Awesome.
in the room with real giant, kind of scary looking reptiles that professionals will be handling,
Sure.
but then also watch this schlocky 70s kind of monster movie.
Schlocky. I like that. I haven't used that in a long time. I'm
I
going to
mean,
borrow that.
it really works for Frogs if you've
Schlocky.
seen it.
Yeah.
And then we try to mix in like really deep cuts and like discoveries. Like we're gonna have I think might be the technical world re-premiere of this movie called 39, a film by Carroll McKane. That's the title. It's by a local filmmaker, Gary Sherman, but it's this long lost film that never got released that was found and restored and is being put out. So like that's kind of like a discovery. We've got some other
Very
really
cool.
low key like films being discovered. We also like found these people who just love synthesizer scores. And so they're going to show a documentary about like the history of synthesizer music in movies. And then we're going to show it with this Ozploitation movie called Next of Kin. Have you ever heard of that one?
I've heard of Next of Kin. Yeah.
Yeah. So then those two will go together because it's got a great synth score.
And would another, for folks who might not know that particular one, would Halloween 3 be a good example of like a synth soundtrack?
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Synth scores got really big in the 80s and
they
kind
did.
of became they kind of recycled each other, but there are some really good ones out there.
I have that soundtrack on vinyl. Don't ask me why.
No, it's great. So we try to like mix in all these different things. Like we even show like really small like esoteric horror because one of our programmers, Will Morris, that's like his jam. He finds like the weirdest stuff that you will never see in the world. Like he's got this Egyptian vampire Rocky Horror Picture Show knockoff movie called Anyab.
What's it called?
Anyab. Anyab. And he found it on the depths of the internet and found a guy who knows the filmmaker and was able to get the rights approved so we could show it.
Thursday, October 23rd at 9:30, by the way, is when that
correct. Anyab. And this probably will never show again because it's just so small. So anyway, it's just a mix of everything, like any type of horror or like level of like I know that horror or I've never heard of that or kind of somewhere in between. And the programmers, they're all very knowledgeable. They come to you with like it's not academic. It's like it's really sort of additive. Like it helps your experience and like how you watch a movie. Like I remember once Will got up there and the only way to play this movie was a VHS tape, and it was a true discovery, but we had to show it to people. And so our projectionist, who's like a wizard at that stuff, figured out how to get a VHS tape connected to a DCP projector, but he had to get like a converter because it kept sending a really weird signal. So he got the converter to convert it down, but it actually looked good on the big screen. So Will just gets everybody together. He goes, okay, just imagine we're all having a sleepover. We're all 12 years old. We've got all of our candy. We just ran to the gas station, the convenience store. We've got our popcorn, and this is how we're going to watch this film together. And this was in front of like 700 people. So it was anyway. They all bring this just these different loves and degrees of like respect to what you watch, and try to get you excited right before you watch the movie. And then you watch the film. And if you come early, like early, we'll cut these pre-shows that are kind of like weird ephemera from either the time or the filmmaker, or like kind of like the horror genre. And then we'll do trivia. So come test your trivia, and you can win prizes like free Blu-rays, like signature Blu-rays. And then we do the introduction and then the movie. So every night we have one of those.
That's awesome.
In addition to all of that work, which again, this is crazy that we do this, for one day, we do 24-hour marathon.
Oh, and you still do the 24-hour?
Yep.
Is that
in
on
addition
Halloween?
To everything else? No, it's always. So we do Rocky Horror Picture Show with the Shadowcast, and that's not a part of Box of Horrors. It's just been a tradition since the 80s. And so because Halloween is such a thing, the weekend prior and then the weekend into Halloween, we always do Rocky Horror. So this year's marathon is October 18th. So it's basically usually 1 or 2 Saturdays before Halloween. So that way we're not like butting heads with
Sure.
our Rocky folks, because those are just diehards. They love coming. Like Rocky's a thing. So if people know, they know. If you don't know, it's okay. But yes, so we do the marathon always like 1 or 2 Saturdays prior to Halloween, which is a little early if you think about it. But also people love horror throughout the month, so
Heck
they don't
yeah.
really mind.
Not even throughout the month, throughout the year, man. I mean, I don't
Well,
know if
and
you
then
even
we do
noticed
it.
my shirt here. It's all the
I love
Universal
all the
monsters.
heads.
Yeah, all the
Yes, I
Universal
love them
monsters.
all.
Yeah, I'm a nerd. And I got a
Um,
Halloween hat back there from the movie. Wait, there we go. I don't know if you can see it there.
yep.
But yeah, I'm a nerd. I love horror movies and I love Halloween. So hence why I wanted to talk to you. It sounds like you guys, that's a lot. But and I think that's what I don't know if people fully, I mean, people who know, like you said, but there's a lot of people that maybe don't know that the Music Box is a little bit more than what they think of a theater, because you guys do all of this programming, not just for Halloween, but you do it throughout the year for different things. We mentioned the holiday stuff earlier, but that's the thing about the Music Box. That's why it's still around since 1929, right? I mean,
Yep.
and going forward, I mean, this is what makes you unique. I mean, we had talked, you're from Minnesota, and the job opened up and you're like, I took it because it's the Music Box. Like that's the reputation in the world, right?
Yeah, it's funny. A lot of if you're in Chicago, you don't know what you have. You're just
I
like, this is
know. It's so
Chicago.
annoying. Yeah.
But I realized how like I wanted the job badly, and then I got to Chicago and I kept doing really cool things, and I would find people would travel to the Music Box
Hmm.
because not only the venue is really special, but like the program we were doing, they could not get it around them. So the marathon, okay,
Hmm.
people will fly in from New York, LA, Seattle, Denver, and Texas every year for this because they can't find this type of level of 24 hours of this horror community. When we do like a 70 millimeter film festival, we have people drive in from Madison, Milwaukee, Iowa City, Indiana. They'll drive up from St. Louis. We did this Lynch retrospective, and we had this guy drive up from Mississippi, and he got an Airbnb so he could walk to the theater, and he spent all 10 days there.
Really?
So like it's like, I mean, Chicago, like they don't have to feel lucky. Like that's not what I mean to say, but they should know, they should be proud of like the fact that they have this historic institution that not only is like a living museum, but also like is activated in all of these incredible ways and has all of these other organizations that want to come in and work with us. Because like we host Chicago International Film Festival, we host Chicago Humanities Festival, Chicago Critics Film Festival. Like we have other people who are like, hey, I have this thing, I could bring it to you. And I'm like, yes, hey, WBEZ, let's have Rob Reiner on our stage to talk about this to Spinal Tap. That sounds like
Hell
an
yeah.
incredible night. So anyway, yes, Chicago has a really amazing theater. And more people are kind of learning about it outside of Chicago. And I do think a lot of Chicagoans know it's cool. They just can't like step out of Chicago
No,
and not have it to know how cool they had it.
I feel like you've just described almost every person I've ever met that has grown up in Chicago. They don't realize how cool our city is until you leave. That's
Yeah.
when you like, if you go to school, and I'm not even talking about like going like U of I. I'm talking about like getting out of the state of Illinois and go, because I grew up on the south side of the city, right? So I just grew up assuming everywhere was like Chicago. You know what I mean? Except California was warm. That's kind of all you had, right? So when
Yeah.
you go to like Florida, and where I would go, I went to school in Florida for a little bit, for college. And I'm like, well, what the hell are there to do around here? Like, where's the theater? Where's the baseball team I can go, anything. And they're just like, well, we got the beach in Disney World. And you're like, ooh, and then you go to other states and you go to other cities, like Cincinnati or what have you. And all due respect to all those cities, or Houston, or even Dallas, even New York for that matter, and it's just not the same, and then, New York is New York, but like LA and other cities, you realize how special Chicago is. I just wish the rest of the world would change the narrative to that versus what it's been. But we
Yeah.
know, You know what I mean? We know how special it is. And to have the Music Box do what it's been doing for years is why I wanted to talk to you about it, and why I feel like probably why people from all over the world come to the Music Box to enjoy it. Not just for the programming, but for the actual theater space itself. You guys just did a little renovation, right? Not that long, like this summer?
Last year.
Last year. Okay. So
Yeah.
last year you redid the seats and other things, right?
Yeah, so we got new carpet, we refurbished the floors, put in all brand new seats, and then new aisle lighting. And then the big reason we shut down and did all that is because the front proscenium arch, that kind of frame around the
Yeah.
screen, we had that all restored. So all of that plaster got fixed and then repainted. So it's very pretty now, or again. But
Sure.
that's important. I mean, like that plaster arch, that was a lot of money, but like that's kind of part of who we are, so we kind of have to take care of that just as much as we do like other parts of the building. Like even if it's like like if the plaster breaks off, like you can still show you a movie, but you're like, yeah, but that's kind of ugly. Like you gotta
Yeah, of course.
gotta make it look right. So yeah, we invest back in the building quite a bit. A lot of the budget, well, not a lot, but there's like a percentage of the budget every year that goes back into like fixing something or replacing something, like digital projectors or seats or sound system, or just like the marquee needs like letters changed. I mean, all of that is super important. So we did that every year, and now we're actually expanding because
Really?
our audience is growing quite a bit. Coming out of the pandemic, a lot of people wanted to come back together and do great things, and the movies were one of them, or at least the movies at the Music Box. So we've been growing every year. So we got a City of Chicago grant that's going to partially fund our ability to build a third screen. So the main screen won't be touched. We have our
Cool.
small theater too, and then next to it, we're going to build a 100-seat theater. So that basically we can do more programming between the three, because what comes to us a lot is great films, but they can't fill 700 seats. And it's kind of awkward. Like, let's say you, Tom, made a movie, but you don't have a giant reach. Maybe you can only get 100 people to come out for a Q&A, right? Well, it's still great to say you had at the Music Box, but 100 people and 700 seats, that doesn't feel right. But if you sold out a 100-seat theater at the Music Box, that's perfect. And it's
Absolutely.
going to be great projection, great sound. You're going to have a stage. We're going to have you in front of a curtain, like that beautiful red curtain. But it's just going to be in our other screen. So we're going to be able to do a lot more with that because we're building this third screen. So I'm really excited because we get to do more of what we love doing for folks.
And you're doing more of what makes the Music Box unique and very Music Box, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, why not sing along with 700 people to the sound of music, or,
Right.
or have a whole festival dedicated to David Lynch, or just show old Looney Tunes reels for free, so people can just walk off the street on a Saturday in July and watch old cartoons.
Heck yeah, man. And that's what makes the Music Box so uniquely Chicago in that aspect too. The free movies, the Looney Tunes that you just said. And then, I mean, my dad, we the first time I took my dad to the holiday show that is at the Music Box, with It's a Wonderful Life and White Christmas, he walked in, and like I said, he's a South Sider, does not travel north, not anymore. You know what I mean? So we walk into the theater, and he kind of looks around. He's like, "Son of a bitch!" I'm like, "What's wrong?" He's like, "I took Patti Smith here in 1974. That was our first date." I was like, "Oh, what? Never knew it." He's like, "I'll be damned. This place still looks the same." I was like, "Yeah, Dad." But that's just, and he was just like in his glory. He just sat back in his chair and he's just looking around. You can see the memories. Meanwhile, my mom's kind of looking at him like, what the hell's going on? But he's just like, whatever. I married you, but man, that was a great date. And we went into Old Town and we went to the fondue place, like all these things that I never knew. But that's what I imagine happens to a lot of people who bring their parents or bring family back in for those family events that they maybe don't even remember going to. And all of a sudden that place is hard to forget, right? You walk in there and you're like, oh, I've been here before. This is incredible. It's so beautiful. So I'm happy that you guys are doing this thing for Halloween with the event you have going on for the 31 nights here, and then the programming into the holidays, and then you guys repeat it all over again starting in January and with the new year and all the new programming. So a lot of fun. What the best way for people to learn more about the theater? I imagine is the website, or actually going to the theater itself.
Well, I mean, before you come to the theater, go to musicboxtheater.com and spell it the British way. So it's TRE.com. And then come on in and check it out. And it's not the end of the world that if you just happen to be at Wrigley or, you know, for some other reason in Lakeview and you want to just pop your head in and take a look up and just kind of be like, okay, you could do that. And you can also get some popcorn to go if you'd like. Our popcorn is delicious.
Oh,
Real
it's delicious.
butter
It's
on the
old
popcorn. And or if you don't like butter on your popcorn, you can just get it by itself. But yeah, musicboxtheater.com, and we're open 365 days a year. We're always doing a little something for everybody. So if you go on our website and you don't know anything you're looking at, just look at the month view or look ahead. You will find something. You'll be like, oh, I know that movie, or that sounds really familiar, or that thing looks really cool. And you know, basically, you just have to wait long enough, and you're going to find something for you.
Absolutely. Music Box of Horrors, Dead and Loving It now through the 31st of October. And you also have the 24-hour marathon on the 18th, you said.
Yep.
So, I mean, come on, folks. Head out to the Music Box. Ryan, thank you so much, man, for talking with me. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Tom.